Hello. Hey, there we go. Okay, sorry. Mic was broke for a sec. And now my desktop is talking to me, probably because I'm watching myself live. Hold on. A little bit of a strange start to this one, but we're getting there. Alrighty, so thanks for joining me. This is another episode or stream, whatever. We're doing trying to build out Enviari, which is a program I've been building over the last couple of months to work on to allow people to ship things places in the United States and hopefully around the world. My name is Brian Morrison. I'm a systems and software engineer based out of Chicago, Illinois. I'm pretty proficient in C# and JavaScript. I'm just kind of trying to drop some knowledge on everybody. You could also catch my stream on Mondays. Well, it was Mondays on where I'm starting to do live developer courses and kind of trying to show people things that are a little bit more polished as opposed to just following me kind of stumbling through some of this stuff. That's going to be moved to Wednesday. So come this week, next week, this day next week, I will be doing that stream and we'll be shuffling some things around. I still have to think through the different schedule changes I'm going to make, and I'll put a post out there when I get there. But the last couple of times we've done this, it actually took me 3 times. We were looking into creating an API to API connection from our API that we're building here out to Square, so people who use it can start importing customers. This is going to be the first of many integrations that we're going to be working on. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. We've got the backend stuff all worked out, so we're going to start working on the user interface and figuring out where we want our buttons and forms in the right spots to just kind of make it more streamlined and make it all look pretty. But before I get started, if you do like the things I'm doing, follow me on Twitch. Username is BrianMMO2. I really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, you can drop me a tip. Links in the Twitch description, or go to patreon.brianmorrison.me. Look at the different levels there. You can sign up for a subscription. You'd be super awesome. I'll give you a shout out, and you can read all the perks and everything that I've kind of laid out there. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So, position. Hello, hello, hello. Here's what we've been working on so far. Let's see. I got to pull everything up because I was trying to get some new scenes and frames and stuff set up before the stream, and it kind of ran a lot longer than I expected to, and then I ran into problems with my Nginx server, and yeah, never a dull moment. So I could pull some of this stuff out here so you could see what I'm doing. I'm going to fire up my UI. And while that's going, we're going to go ahead and fire up the API. cd API npm run dev. It's my normal command I run. So we're going to give these guys a few minutes here to go ahead and get set up. So just take a minute and we're going to kind of walk through everything that we've been doing so far. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to pull up my browser. And we're going to use this to demonstrate how this whole system works. Okay, the API should be running, and my UI kind of locked up on me. Why did my UI lock up on me? Problems right out the gate. Always fun. Let's go ahead and cancel this. Never mind. Just for some reason, VS Code wasn't showing me the correct information. So, oh well. Guess it happens. Let's let it run through and run and build again. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Hopefully everybody's having a good week, having a good day. We're halfway through. Made it all the way to hump day so far. Got a couple more days left. Personally, I'm excited for this weekend. My little boy, one of them just turned 3, so we'll be celebrating his birthday, having a bunch of family over. It's going to be fun. Come on, baby. Let's build. There we go. Switching my layouts over on the right-hand side. I haven't rebooted this computer in a while. It's probably due for a reboot. So, local host. Come on. Can I spell? Can I spell tonight? It's a trick question. I can never spell. So what we've done to test so far is we've got this little guy up in the right-hand corner, and we can click auth to Square. This redirects us over to Square's API. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to transition away into a secretive scene because I don't like people seeing my passwords and stuff, even though this really isn't anything production related. Never can be too secure. Rob Soros Rex, Sun is 2. Fun time. They're a handful for sure, but yeah, they're fun. How many you got? All right, so we're signing in here. And we can see, hold on here. We pulled in all the users here. So this is just a basic data table built in Vuetify is the material framework that I'm using. All it is displaying something because I wanted to make sure that I can get data back. But it's not pretty. I mean, it looks nice, but the flow doesn't really work. So that's kind of what we're going to work on today. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to build out inside of their main customers form. I'm going to add a button there that allows people to import. The customers, kind of a quick link. And then also, if I get time tonight, I'm going to make a settings page where it's going to list out the different integrations. I've seen that kind of that structure set up on other services, and I kind of like it. So that's the direction we're going to go. Robosaurus Rex says, I have 3. I actually have number 3 is on the way. We're about maybe a third through the pregnancy. So really looking forward to that. We don't even know what we're having. I know Java. I have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, I know some Java too, but I probably would have no idea what you're doing because I haven't touched it in about 10 years. My story and how I got started in development is I one day decided that I wanted to... Thanks a lot. I one day decided that I wanted to learn how to build an Android app. So I went to Denny's night after night after night. If you're not familiar, Denny's is a kind of a chain breakfast restaurant-y type thing, but they were open 24/7 and they had free refills on coffee. So what I would do is I would basically order myself a coffee and sit there and get free refills all night until I built an Android app. Until I built an Android app. Yeah, it made me a little bit of money for a while, but didn't big scheme of things. It really wasn't like $1 million app. It was just a small note taker app, but it was kind of a I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did. So I was really, really happy at that moment. So let's see what we got going on in our Vue front end here. Did you go to a 4-year? No, I didn't. As a short story, I actually was going. I was bouncing back and forth between computer science and automotive engineering were the two fields that I was interested in getting into. And what I decided to do is I started up a IT consulting business kind of independently. And about 2 years into college, I decided, I don't really need a degree to tell me that I know what I'm doing. So I kind of went that route. And here I am today. So no, I don't have that's a long-winded answer of no, I do not have a formal degree in anything. But I do stuff like this, so it keeps me on my toes. Alrighty, so let's see what we have here. Here's my Square service. This is the service that connects us to the back end. I have authorized with Square, which basically just redirects me back to Square's API, or Square's authorization I guess, form page. I'm still in the field, Robosaurus Rex. I'm a systems and I'm technically a software engineer, but I also manage all. I just transitioned from a senior systems engineer to a software engineer, so I know infrastructure, networking, server maintenance and management, and IT operations, and now I also, I've been writing code for 10 plus years. So I know a lot about, just software development in general, but it's always been kind of a secondary to what I've done up until the last month or so. How about you? You said you know Java. What do you do for a living? Just drilling down through some of my forms I've got going here, just so I can kind of repiece back what I've done, because I haven't looked at this in about a week. All right, so get token, that pulls the token. That's the authentication token from our Vuex store. This goes in this API integrations auth. Probably going to move this into some kind of backend helper or service file. Let's go into customers. I've got a Square import from, okay, this is the form I'm actually working with here. So this is what's being used to generate this page here. So let's see, how can we build this more? Let's look at the customer's main and let's see. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a toolbar in here. If it's not already there. Currently slicing down. Hey, you got to start somewhere. There's nothing to be ashamed with. So, but it's good that you got a path, and it's good that you're moving in that direction. We've got a button. I really want to kind of make this into a toolbar. So I'm going to go pull some boilerplate code from ViewJS website. 10 years. That's a long time to be with one company. I know back in the day, a lot of people like to kind of retire companies. They find a good job, they settle in, and they just kind of stick there for a while. I can't do that. I'm actually at the place I'm at now is probably the longest I've ever been on a job is 4 years. I've always kind of jumped around. So I get bored staying in one spot. Luckily, the job that I have now does kind of keep me on my toes and keeps throwing me into different things. All right, so let's grab this boilerplate V toolbar, and I think what I'm going to do is I want to add this. I think does the V data table have a slot for this? I don't remember. Data tables. So yeah, well, it's good that you got a goal, and it's good that you're moving towards that goal. This is a personal project. Personal in the sense that I'm doing it for myself, but I actually plan to bring this to market. So I'm going to work on, really polishing this up. I was for a while doing some work outside of the streams, but I've had other things kind of just take priority over this. And when I get it to a production ready state, which I'm hoping to do within another 2 months or so, I'm going to start I'm going to build a website, start marketing it and whatnot. So rundown. I'll give you a background, I guess, first. My wife was into doing kind of a Mary Kay thing with a different company called Senegence, and one of the problems that she had was trying to quickly generate shipment labels for product that she was selling. So I wrote her a Windows WPF application that hooked into Square's API, pulled down the customers, and then used another API called EasyPost to generate shipping labels for everything she was doing. This is kind of the same thing, but a web-based hosted serverless version of that. So I didn't really have too good of experience with building web apps beforehand. I was better at building Windows desktop applications, so that was kind of the direction that I just ran with. All right, it doesn't look like I have this. I think when I've done this before, I think what I did is I threw it inside of a V card. So let's do that. I don't have a good way of demonstrating kind of what it's going to do. I have an application that I'm basing it off of, but just hang tight if you keep on watching or check out the YouTube channel. I archive most of my videos off to YouTube. I've got some of the ones that I run as courses. I let them expire on Twitch, but everything else is pretty much hosted on YouTube. That link redirects it to my YouTube channel, so you can view all my kind of past content. It's better than trying to type in the long channel name. It's just a redirect. All right, losing track of what I'm working on. It's cool. I like having conversations, but sometimes I have trouble doing two things at one time. So, but by all means, continue. Don't let that deter you from speaking up. I will keep that in mind. Do me a favor. If you follow me on Twitter, Brian Morrison ME, shoot me your information, and maybe we'll keep in touch if we want to go that route. Could always use some help on this stuff. All right, more boilerplate. I don't want to type all this out. frankly, I haven't memorized this enough to type it all out. All right, so what do we need here? I don't need that. I actually probably don't even need the title here. I'm going to end up getting rid of everything I've got in here anyway. I think I need, there's a body form in here too, isn't there? V card title. No, it's not the title. V card text. Not text. Yeah, text. There we go. I think it's the V card text we're looking for. All right, so V card. Whoop, whoop, don't want that. I want to go back and grab my boilerplate for my toolbar now. Creating a Texas Hold'em program on desktop, and then I'm going to put it on Android. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, I've always found the best way to learn anything, and this is true. This has been true for my entire career, basically, is if you find a problem, you know, whether that's real or not, if you find a problem and you try and build a solution around said problem. So like instead of just sitting there and trying to like mindlessly stare at the computer and code stuff, if you kind of set out and say, hey, you know what I want to do is I want to create, you know, an application that does XYZ, or even if you wanted to clone something, like one of the things that I've wanted to clone that I haven't done it yet is Trello. I like Trello, but there are some features that I really wish it had that it doesn't. And I mean that would be a huge undertaking to do something like that and bring that to market. Whereas this, I know there's a what am I trying to say? There's an opportunity for something like this. So it's kind of like I've got a lot of ideas and things. I just got to focus my efforts, and this is what I've decided to focus on for now. All right. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. All right, so I've got, this is all kind of bound together, which is nice. I don't like the fact that the card's got this nice big border around it, but the toolbar and the data table flow together pretty nicely now. So I'm looking probably for elevation. So I think it's V elevation. Let's try that, see if that's what I'm looking for. And let's refresh us here. Anything just learning? Yeah, and I see what you mean. And I wasn't trying to say that you should try and, you know, build a product right out the gate, but my point was just, you know, find a real or not real, you know, business problem, I guess, if you want to even call it that, and focus on trying to build something around that problem. Kind of set a goal, you know. So like if you say here, you know, I think your Texas Hold'em is a good I think your Texas Hold'em is a good goal. You said, hey, I want to build a program that does, you know, that does Texas Hold'em. So now you have to figure out the logic that goes into it, the UI that goes into it. Yeah, it doesn't like my elevation there. And that's kind of what you're doing. I guess I don't think that way because I work more like line of business applications, just what I've always built. So got to your channel through Reddit, your friend post, stop, check it out. Don't know JS. Dope as hell. I like that. I appreciate the dope as hell comment. Appreciate it. Yeah, I haven't. I've had a couple people come through and check me out. I've seen a pretty big upswing from that. So I thanked my friend very much for the plug. All right, let's take a look at the CSS and the V card. Actually, hold on. Before I even do that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look. I know Viewtify has some elevation. I think they're called directives. So let's take a look. Style and themes. No. Application layout. No. What am I looking for? Well, yeah. If you ever decide you're interested in doing something similar, Bravosaurus Rex, I've started up a Discord channel where I eventually plan to get into talking about more on how I got started doing this kind of, I guess it's just really just a group to get people together to talk about doing live coding. Because I felt like there were some good resources out there, but not a whole lot. And a lot of the things that I learned from putting this channel together really surrounded the whole, the gaming market, which I really had no I really didn't have any interest in doing beforehand. I actually did recently get into start live streaming games as well, but yeah, there wasn't a whole lot that was dedicated just to coding. At least nothing that I could really find. Elevation vbind class elevation 0. Maybe it's the class. Let's see. Flipping to the site allows you to instantly find profitability on an item. Say you're at a thrift store and you want to see if it's worth buying. You scan the barcode and have a preset settings automatically calculate the net. Lost trying to work with the APIs. API has call limits. Well, dude, if you that sounds like a worthy goal. And there's what I was talking about. Like, you found something that you know, there was a book that I just read recently called Principles by Ray Dalio. This is going to New York Times bestseller. I just picked it up. One of the things that I really liked from it was a quote that he had, and I can't remember the quote specifically, but it was something along the lines of, everything you do, you should do with urgency, but don't rush it. And I guess the reason why I'm saying that is, you know, if you have a goal, as long as you're making strides against it constantly, don't rush it. Don't stress too hard on trying to get it done yesterday. Like, that was my problem with this app. I've actually been working on this app. This is the third version of this. And I've been working on this for probably at least the last year now. And I've made the most progress here because I've kind of just taken it day by day, and I'm just chipping away at it little by little. Like, I have my work plan set out, and I know what I'm doing. But you know, it's just, hey, life gets in the way. You don't have time for everything. I could probably modify this and get rid of it. You know, let's create a custom class here. vcard class. Let's do vcard no padding. We got Robosaurus Rex. I would definitely encourage you to check out that Discord group that I created, that I'm working on at least building up, or even find other ones. If you go to codinglive.group, it redirects you directly to. I'm not self-plugging. I generally don't do this, but I generally do. I genuinely want to help people get into development. So if you check that out and join up there, it's like me and one other guy that are chatting there now. But I eventually want to use that as kind of a resource for new developers who, even if they don't want to get into coding, or even if they don't want to get into live streaming their coding sessions, at least they'll have like a resource to go to and ask questions. I mean, there's different Reddit subchannels as well. I'm also a mentor on. There's a Discord group called Let's Code and a Slack group called Coding Coaches, I think. Look them up on Twitter too. There's a lot of interesting people there who can help you, you know, guide you and ask questions. Hold on here 1 second. Sorry about that. Didn't want to blow all your speakers out. Magarmak. It's a cool name. Magarmak. If you go to that codinglive.group link I just dropped into the chat, you'll get redirected to the invite. Adding 0px. Let's try this and see what this does. It doesn't like it. I've done this before. I swear I have done this before. Didn't redirect me. Hold on. Do I have the right thing? Or did it break? Because that would be bad. Oh, that's interesting. No, I just clicked on it. I clicked on it and it did work, but I'll have to explore why that's the case. That should be the direct invite. Excuse me, my throat is killing me today. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to disregard this. I have a bad habit of getting lost in styling of things. I'm going to come back to this because this is not helping me make progress towards what I really wanted to do today. All right, so I don't need the title. I don't need any of that stuff. I'm going to take my V button that I have up here. I'm going to move it into my toolbar items. We're going to go ahead and pop that guy out to fix the styling. Robosaurus Rex, yes, this is front end stuff. This is not. This is actually HTML. This is ViewJS. Well, I say it's HTML, but it's not. It's similar to HTML, but this is ViewJS. It's a front end framework that's used for creating, I guess, really robust applications. It's kind of like. It's kind of like React and Angular. It's kind of on the same level. I've tried React and I've tried Angular. I've just felt that Vue kind of clicks with the way that I think better, if that makes sense. So that's why I kind of ran with this, and I've really enjoyed it. I haven't encountered a problem that I haven't been able to solve with this, and I use it for. I have 2 or 3 applications that I built at work that that use Vue.js, and I really like it. CC doesn't teach JavaScript. Yeah, I think JavaScript had a bad rap at some point, because I was like that at some point too, where I just didn't like JavaScript. I mean, it like you look at it and it kind of like really, I just scratched my head when I looked at it. But that was back in the jQuery days. Nowadays, when with these modern front end frameworks like Vue and Angular and React, I mean, they feel much more powerful, and there's a whole lot more that I don't know. I want to say there's a whole lot more you can do with them, although I know that's not really true, because you pretty much could do most of this stuff beforehand. It just made it a whole lot easier to work with. All right, so we are here. I'm going to add another link here and call this import customers, and we're going to see if we can. I'm actually going to see if I can create that a drop down. So it'll eventually give you a list of different services that are offered. Or, you know what it should do is it should go to another page that lists out the integrations you can offer, because then I can create a nice, pretty little user interface that shows Square, and eventually I'm going to do PayPal. There are other ones. I have a list of them, but I don't know what they are right now. All right, let's save that and refresh that. That didn't work. Let's go and look up our boilerplate, because I like boilerplate. It makes it easy to remember things. Toolbars. Just curious, when you say CC, where is that community college? VSpacer, yeah, it's VSpacer. Oh, I need to create, yeah. Yeah, when I was at community college and I decided, I actually did take a programming class when I was going to community college. That was what I did for my 2 years. I've never actually went to a university or a 4-year college. Mine was, they had one class that was in, the class that I took was Ruby? I thought it wasn't even Ruby on Rails. It was just straight Ruby. And then I also took a PHP class, and I hated the PHP class, but that was largely because the instructor was kind of, yeah, he was an interesting fellow, let's say. Libraries and frameworks, trying to acclimate with program. Libraries and frameworks, I kind of, the best way I can describe them are pre-set up chunks of code, kind of like, that's a good question. How do you explain a framework? So like, JavaScript is the language that a lot of these modern front-end frameworks are built to leverage. Like the language you write is in JavaScript, but the framework itself kind of brings a whole bunch of stuff that normally would be difficult to build on your own, but is kind of common across different applications. So like, you think about all the different web pages that are out there on the internet, or about all the different web apps, like they have some common, like, they have some common functionality to them. Like, the best thing I can kind of explain is like state management. So like, when a user's clicking from, point A to point B to point C, you want to maintain that user's logged in. So a lot of, at least in my mind, the way that I think about it, I can't even say in my experience because I'm pretty new to some of these front end frameworks myself. You build a framework that is around that state management, and that can be used and customized to whatever the developer wants to use it for, so to speak. I'm not sure if that made sense. It kind of almost doesn't make sense in my mind, but that's the best I can do to explain it right now without diving, without kind of demonstrating it, I guess, a little bit more. Credit card, which aren't great at teaching anything other than life lessons. That is really true. That is really true. I've got stories about credit cards. Don't get credit cards. Credit cards. The only thing I ever put on credit cards is purchases that I intend to either write off or purchases that will ultimately further my my business goals, like things that will eventually kind of pay off themselves. I don't put junk on credit cards, or at least I make a best attempt not to. First experience programming, completely obsessed. Yeah, it was fun. Hate PHP and HTML. I sympathize with the PHP, but HTML is one of those things I think you're just going to have to learn. It's going to be used a lot going forward. See, we're kind of getting this more into like a coding chat thing. I'm not even making a whole lot of progress, but this is fun. First experience for coding. Yeah, okay, we went there. I read that already. Sort of framework that it tends to be a collection of libraries. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Frameworks tend to be a collection of libraries. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. I've always liked the idea and concept of writing code. I and this is going way back, but back in the days of MySpace, one of the things that really turned me on to writing code was customizing my my MySpace profile, because you can add sorts of colors and CSS and images and stuff, and I really, really got into that. So it was kind of like from that point on, like, I realized, hey, I love writing this stuff. It's really cool and fun. But let's see, from there, where did I go? I kind of fell into just working on computers. My high school had a class about how to build computers, so I took that and kind of fell into that and really liked that. And I also decided to take a networking class. Hated that, was terrible at it, but I really wasn't terrible at the networking concept. I was just terrible at building Cat5 cables, so that really turned me off to the whole idea of getting into computers in general, so I almost went into automotive engineering. But then, as I was in college, I decided to start up a computer repair business, went that route for a while, and then kind of from there, echoing back to what I was saying earlier, like, I found things that I found issues that I could solve with code. Like, I like the idea of automation. I like the idea of making things easier. Like, you know what, if it takes 1,000 steps to accomplish one thing, why can't 99% of those things be automated? It's easy getting software in the old days. Well, not entrepreneurially. See, the thing is, I got into software entrepreneurially. So one of my first applications that I built was actually using Microsoft Access. I built an application for a small, what do they do? They did tree servicing, so like cutting down trees and fixing trees and landscaping and stuff like that. I built an application for them, and then, that was kind of my main thing that I did there. But my second job, and this dives more into the professionally statement. I went to work for a managed services provider, which, if you don't know what that is, it is a company that outsources IT support and services, but does it in a way that's locally. So like most people think when outsourcing, they want to do overseas. If you are a business that is small enough that does not have the capital to actually hire an IT staff on board, what you can do is you can contract out the work to a managed services company. So what you'd get is kind of a team of individuals for a set rate for a set rate on a month-to-month basis, or a year, however long the contracts were. I've never dealt with the financial side of that, so I don't know the details, but I worked for them because that was what I was good at. I was good at networking, and I was good at infrastructure and stuff like that. So since I had already built my Android app back when I was talking about that, let's see, where did it go from there? They liked that on my resume that I did that, and I was cheap because it was like one of my first real jobs. So I came in and I looked at some of the internal processes, and I'm like, hey, we could fix all these things. Like, why is the best example I can have, and this is going to go on my website. I haven't gotten it yet, but actually tomorrow's my day that I work on my website, so it's going to go on tomorrow. They were, in order to check backups for their customers, they would have an admin, one of the admin personnel would manually go and enter things into a SharePoint list, and then another technician, and that took up roughly, not two-ish hours, and another technician would manually check every single one of those backups. It generally was like an 8-hour process. 8 working hours. So I automated the process of entering all the jobs into the list. I automated the process of randomly cycling out the different technicians that would work on the different jobs, and there was a third piece. I can't remember it right now, but that eventually kind of pulled into hey, I didn't really get the okay to start working on this stuff. It's just in my downtime, I would say, hey, how can I write C#? How can I write a Windows service? How can I write to access SQL Server? How can I write a nice user interface? How can I do all these things? And then one day I came up with this kind of well-built, put together, hey, check out this app that kind of does everything that SharePoint was doing. And that was the only thing that SharePoint was doing at that company. So we're able to eliminate the overhead of using SharePoint, because that was a management nightmare at the time. I don't know if it's gotten any better. We use 365 where I work now. We can get rid of SharePoint. We can streamline this whole process. And I took the whole process went down from like 8 hours every single day down to like 15 minutes every morning. That was like my first real big application. And I built a couple of other things for their customers as well. So I've always been into software development because I've always liked doing it, but I've never really like officially had the title of software developer, engineer, whatever, until really about a month ago, where I was able to take on responsibility for managing our partner API where I work. So we, without getting into too much detail, I maintain an API that our customers use to connect to us where I work now. So if they need changes, I fix them. If they need, or I implement them. If something's broken, I'll fix it. Although it's really stable. And I've just found little things with little business processes within the company to say, hey, we can automate this with a small little piece of code. We can automate this. So, yeah, that's kind of the story. Really in a nutshell, without diving really deep into all the different projects and things I've worked on. But yeah, hope you guys got something out of that. I know I totally stopped programming, but yeah, hope you appreciate it. Always been involved in IT. Yes, I have always been involved in IT. I got my first job working at like a if you're from the U.S., the big company is Best Buy. They're Geek Squad. I worked for a different company, but kind of the same basic concept. It was Tiger Direct, and then it moved to CompUSA, and then went back to Tiger Direct, and that's where that landed. So Shutter's yeah, I know, me too. In accounting, I want to transition to IT. That's cool. That's cool. Start learning some stuff. What kind of IT do you want to get into, Magramock? I just realized I'm streaming on Facebook. I haven't even checked to see if anybody commented over there. I was thinking front-end web dev. Okay, that's cool. Then yeah, I'd recommend doing some of the stuff that I'm doing now. It's just like I was telling Robosaurus Rex earlier. Pick a project, figure out something you want to do, and just kind of go at it with some force. It takes time. Like my first application that I built. Hold on, I'm gonna respond to some of these things real quick before they're flying through. Failor, good story, enjoying it. Thanks, appreciate it. Let's see, split coming down. Robosaurus Rex, hate to do hardware IT. Yeah. Depends what you mean by hardware. Oh yeah, that's not nice. Somebody leaving some bad stuff on here. It depends on what you mean by hardware. If you're talking about swapping memory and CPUs, yeah, that sucks. But if you're talking like building infrastructure and maintaining network, that's actually pretty fun. And there's a whole lot of thought process that I wouldn't brush that off. But yes, I would think it's better than slicing cheese. No offense. What's up, Master Ace? Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hardest thing about transitioning is you make decent pay in your current job. That was my problem with getting into software development. I've had multiple offers to move to a software developer, but I was looking at taking like a 20% cut in pay. So, yeah, no. But okay, back to get it front development. As I was telling Robosaurus Rex earlier, my first kind of foray into learning how to build code was using Java. I sat at a Denny's, which is a local place where you got coffee. It was open 24/7, and coffee was like $2. You can get coffee all night. Hours. I'm talking like every single day I'd be there for 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 8 hours every single night, just learning and reading and building stuff. I had no idea what I was doing, but I did it. So you got to kind of go at it with that ferocity, and ferociousness. I don't even know how to say that word, but yeah, it takes time. Hard to pay cut. What pays the most? I don't want to say your name, but what pays the most? See what pays the most. It depends. Specializing pays the most. Cloud stuff is really popular these days, and I'm getting a lot of bad stuff in my Twitter stream. Not Twitter stream, in my... Yeah, we're gonna go... Yeah, I'll see you later, dude. Oh, I'm getting lost in these messages here. I'm going to learn logic and problem solving behind programming rather than just syntax. That's a good question. I mean, just logic and problem solving, practice, keep at it. Don't get discouraged. It's the best way I could talk. I mean, you could find videos on YouTube. There's courses on Udemy how to use logic, but really, I kind of think a lot of this comes with just experience and kind of just, going for it. I don't have my A cert. The best thing I got was my CCNA. I got my CCNA in routing and switching through Cisco. You know your AutoMod stuff? No, I don't know my AutoMod stuff shows up on the screen. I'm still kind of new to this. How do I fix that? If anyone knows how to fix that, show AutoMod caught. Yeah, go away. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah, you can go away. Yeah, I know. It's just kind of the nature of the internet. I'm used to it, but that doesn't mean I want to. That doesn't mean I want to encourage it on my channel. Just practice, get good. Yeah, kind of. That's a good way to put it. Let's see. Do you work from home? No, I don't work from home. I have the option to work from home if I want to, but I actually like working from an office. It sounds weird. Post this on YouTube. You might want to block that. I think I'm gonna hold on this one and go through and edit some of this stuff out. But yeah, thanks for the heads up, Robosaurus. Hey Goose Dota, how you doing? What streaming software you using? OBS, Stream Elements, OBS, Slobs, I think they call it. Streamlabs. Oh no, Stream Elements. I guess is different. I don't know. I use OBS. All right, so I'm gonna try and keep up on that chat while I'm going at this. Streamlabs chat widget instead. Oh yeah, that does make sense because I just got it going right in there. Thanks, Real Polygon. Yeah, you know what? I did that on my gaming stream, and I haven't had a chance to get it moved over here. I was planning on doing that before I started the stream, but I didn't yet. Browser capture. Yeah, well, what are you gonna do now? I mean, it's too late. I guess I didn't do a whole lot of programming in this one, so I might just kind of tuck this one aside off of YouTube. Oh, it's actually on YouTube Live right now too, so I'm gonna have to go back and delete that. Oh well. Next time, yeah, that's right. Next time. See, and if I can rant about that too, I mean, a lot of people think that they need to know everything up front, and I'm going to take a development angle on this, but this is really true in my opinion of everything. A lot of people feel like they need to know everything up front and know how to fix every single problem before they jump into it. You don't. You never will. No one knows how to fix every single problem. So as long as you take the next time approach, like the Real Polygon says, you'll be fine. Terraform and Ansible workflow. No, those are those CI/CD tools, right? Brain dead. They are. I use Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps has their repositories and pipelines, and I pretty much just use all their services because they're free, and that's what I use at work, so I know how to use them. And I don't really feel like taking the time to learn Terraform and Ansible yet. Jenkins is another one. I eventually will get around to learning all these things, but you know, I'm going to run with what I know for now. So, and then we'll figure the other parts along later. My favorite quote is, "If it's worth doing poorly." Hey, that's good. I've never heard that one before. I'm going to remember that one. All right. So let's get rid of this. Oh yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. If it's worth doing something, doing it poorly is better than not doing it all. You're going to do it poorly to start off with. You're never going to do anything perfect to start. I mean, all right, I'm getting away from development now. I've got about 8 minutes yet before I'm going to kill this thing, so I might as well just kind of keep chatting with you guys. This is fun. This is cool. Here's a good example of I'm going to give you a good story here. So a client of mine, when I was doing consulting, and this leads into the whole, I did things poorly to start, but it kind of built up. And we're talking, this probably happened 9 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere at this point. Geez, hard to believe it was that long ago. When I was doing my consulting, I had a client. It was one of my best clients. It was like, you know, my first business client, and they paid pretty well compared to what I was used to. So I really, really wanted to keep them happy. I had quoted them upgrading a database and software for their for whatever the system they manage. I won't dive into too many details, but their previous IT person told them that if the server stops functioning or is operating slowly, hold the power button down on the front of the server to shut it down and turn it back on. That's bad enough by itself, but where it really went south for me is I had quoted them. They paid me to upgrade their software and their database and everything, and they were running on a really old system. So I called them and said, "Hey, I'm gonna do it this weekend. Okay, leave the computers on. I'm gonna remote into everything. I'm gonna get it all updated and everything, right?" So I had something come up. I don't remember the details behind it, but I had something come up, and I didn't get a chance to do it when I said I was going to do it. And I'm like, oh no, I got to do this thing. You know, I was like, I got to get it done, but I'm not going to be able to get it in the day. I should have called him and told him and rescheduled it. But being the young idiot that I was, decided not to. I said, you know what I'll do? I'll do it in the middle of the night, during the middle of the week, one day, because I'm going to do it and impress them and be awesome. So I start, sure. Yeah, you don't need to be dropping stuff like that in here. So keep it professional. That's what I say in my rules, and I really stick to that. So anyway, back to the story. I decided in the middle of the week I was going to go ahead and start upgrading this database and do everything, right? So I started like then. I know they closed at like 6, so I had time. I started working at like 9 o'clock. So I start the upgrade process. And then 10 rolls around, or not 9. 10 rolls around, 11 rolls around, and it keeps going. All of a sudden, this thing's at like 80%, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, these guys open in an hour. There's no way this is going to be finished. So I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and meet them at the office and let them know, hey, sorry, it's in the process, hang tight, and it'll be done in a couple of hours, right? It just so happened that an employee at the office decided they were going to show up early to work that day, and they hard powered down the server in the middle of a database upgrade. And to make things even better, I stopped the backups 4 days prior when I was planning on doing the database upgrade originally. So needless to say, they were not happy with me after that. They lost 4 days worth of work in their database. They had to go back and do it all over again. But I learned a lesson from it to never do that ever again, and to be more, to work better with my clients. Yeah, that was not a good moment, but knock on wood, I think that's the worst mistake I've ever made. Did I retain the client? Yeah, actually, surprisingly, I did. I offered them some credits back, and I apologized for it deeply, and I don't know why they kept me, but they did for a little while after that, and you know, then I closed the door, so that ended. But yeah, I retained the client. So there you go. So back to the real Polygon. If it's not worth doing it poorly is better than doing it at all. If I didn't run into situations like that, I wouldn't be, as I like to think I'm pretty good at IT, so I'm pretty good at it, and I'm that's how I am. It's all come from situations like that, learning experiences. I did stop consulting. The main reason I stopped consulting is because I was looking to get married, and I was looking to start a family, and it wasn't paying enough to do all that and get a house and do all the things that come along with that. So that was when I transitioned into working for the managed services provider, which was paying me roughly around the same thing I was making at the time, but it was more constant, and there was less variance from month to month on how much I was actually making. I eventually am going to get back into it. In fact, that's part of why I'm doing some of these streams, is I want to help people. But another thing is, this is a marketing opportunity, and if anyone does question me and my character and some of the work that I do, this is a way to me say, hey, go look at what I do. I'm doing this thing 3-4 times a week with people online, trying to show them how to do some cool stuff with code and whatnot. For that client, were you doing sysad and DBA? The clients that I worked with, it was IT guy is the best way to put it. They need a server fix, that was me. If they need a computer fix, that was me. If they need a new piece of software installed, that was me. I was the IT guy. So I am not a DBA. I don't. I know how to write SQL. I know how to write queries. I know how to write stored procedures. I don't know how to I don't know how to optimize databases, and I don't know how to do performance tuning and things like that. I've never really had the need to do so, so I just don't know how to. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, so I've got about 2 minutes. I'm gonna add a button. I've thoroughly enjoyed these conversations. I do. I like talking about this stuff with people. I'm gonna make this next 2 minutes the most productive 2 minutes as far as my code goes that has been on my stream all night. But that's cool. I'm not really complaining. I really am not. I enjoy talking about this stuff. So I added a new customer button over here, new customer button over here. Let's go and get my icon. Let's see, MD icons. I'm going to find an import icon that we can use. Did school help you with IT stuff? Picked up most of it through self-learning. 99% of it, I'll say 95% of it is self-learning. Took a class on how to build computers in high school. That's really kind of about it, if I'm being honest. I took a programming class back in college that taught me Ruby, but that was basic things like strings, integers, how to write hello world functions, things like that. Be able to multitask. Yeah, I try. It's good. I'm good at talking about things while I'm doing them, but talking about different things and telling stories while I'm trying to actually work on code, that I haven't quite nailed down that skill yet. Import _ export is what we're going to use here. So import _ export. So to explain what I am doing, because generally on my streams, and I've had a huge influx of people watching, which is awesome. I'm loving it. Generally what I do is I kind of let's see, import customers. I usually try and talk about what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So I was talking a little bit earlier about throwing the table and putting the toolbar on the table. What I did here is inside of the toolbar, I added, here's kind of a list of toolbar items, which are, in this case, buttons. I added a spacer in between and added another set. So if you look at the user interface, you can see here's set A, here's the first set rather, and here's the second set with the spacer in between. I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I saved that. It's still compiling. That's why it's not loaded yet. My computer is slow. I got to restart this thing. The click, I'm going to get rid of this click function. So generally inside of this click function, you'd want to execute some sort of logic. I don't have any logic set up here yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave that empty. But the name of the button is this import customers. That's the text that's going to appear. And then the icon is going to appear on the right-hand side, this import export. Now, Viewtify looks towards, there's a couple different icon sets you can use, but the default one is the material icon. So that's why I went to this material.io site and looked up an icon here. Ooh, there's an import contacts actually. I'm going to use that one instead. You could see it references here. I'm going to flip that real quick because I like the way that one looks. Hold on 1 second. support underscore customers. While that is loading, let's see. 28 accounting, QA software test experience. I want to transition to program, but feeling hesitant. Accounting is not my passion at all. I mean, the best that I can tell you is use that as kind of a driving force to say, hey, this isn't what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to do something different. And I agree, things do become a little harder to catch on to as you grow. But, I mean, that's, you got to deal with the cards you're given. There's nothing you could do to go back and change time. The only thing you can do is change it, just move forward. So, yeah, pro tip, life advice 101. Just try it and, keep my information handy if you want to learn how to do something or if you have questions about things. I've got no problem talking about this stuff. I love talking. I mean, as you can see, I didn't even really program all day. I've kind of basically sat here and chatted with you guys, which, I like talking about this stuff and I like talking about how I can help people. And, that's kind of my driving force behind why I'm doing this. So, whoa, that is not what I wanted. Import context, I think is what it was. Import context. Let's let that build, and okay, that looks a little cleaner. You can see that. So, okay, I will take some people's advice from earlier. I will go ahead and get rid of my browser capture because that was terrible. Appreciate the advice, whoever said that. I forgot your name already. I'm sorry. Robosaurus Rex, Megamarch, everyone who chatted with me this evening. It was great. This was fun. My schedule, like I said, it's going to change a little bit. The best place to find out changes for my schedule is follow me on Twitter. Brian Morrison ME is my handle. You could also, you could access everything that I do on my website, which is brianmorrison.me. Go there, check that out. If you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, go ahead and give me a follow on Twitch, or you can, subscribe and become a patron, or leave a tip, whatever you want to do. Appreciate everyone for joining tonight, and good luck to all you guys. Hopefully keep in touch. Bye-bye.